It was a quiet spring afternoon in Alcolu, South Carolina, a segregated town carved between the railroad tracks. On one side lived the white families, many of them mill workers. On the other side, black families like the Stinneys lived modestly in small, weather-worn homes, caught between poverty and a system that never once pretended to offer them justice. On March 23, 1944, two white girls, Betty June Binnicker, 11, and Mary Emma Thames, 7, rode their bicycles down a dusty dirt road, giggling and carefree. Witnesses said they were last seen near the black part of town, asking if anyone had seen maypops, wild passion flowers. Hours passed. The sun dipped low. The girls never returned home. By morning, a search party had formed. Their lifeless bodies were discovered near a ditch behind a local lumber mill, bloodied and bruised, skulls crushed by a blunt object. The town turned electric with panic and grief, quickly curdling into something darker. George Stinney Jr., just 14 years old, was at home with his family. A shy, skinny boy, he enjoyed drawing and riding his bike. That morning, he and his younger sister, Am, had seen the girls pass by their yard. "They asked us about maypops," Am later recalled. "That was it." Police arrived at the Stinney home 2 days later. George was taken away in handcuffs without his parents present. The officers claimed he had confessed. No one saw this confession. No transcript. No witness. No lawyer. Just a terrified child, isolated for hours in a locked room with grown white men demanding answers. The details of what happened in that room remain locked away forever. The trial lasted just over 2 hours. The jury, all white men, deliberated for 10 minutes. No defense witnesses were called. George's court-appointed lawyer, Charles Plowden, barely spoke. He called no character witnesses, never cross-examined the state's key testimony, and offered no closing argument. The courtroom was overflowing with angry townspeople, many whispering for vengeance. Outside, the scent of mob violence lingered. The judge banged the gavel. Guilty. Sentenced to die by electrocution. On June 16, 1944, George was led into the execution chamber at the South Carolina State Penitentiary. He clutched a Bible. The guards had to use a book as a booster so he could fit into the adult-sized electric chair. A mask slipped off his small face as the switch was pulled. He was pronounced dead at 7:30 a.m. He was just a child. For decades, George's name faded into a whisper, spoken only in low voices in the black community of Alcolu. His family moved away, fractured by grief. The townspeople tried to forget. But ghosts like George do not rest quietly. In the early 2000s, a group of advocates, researchers, and attorneys, including George's surviving family, began uncovering documents, witness accounts, and buried truths. There was never any physical evidence tying George to the crime. The confession had been coerced. No defense was ever mounted. The supposed murder weapon, never found. One revelation twisted the entire case. The time of the girls' deaths proved George couldn't have been present. He was with his family. Am, now an old woman, remembered vividly. "He never left my side that whole afternoon." 70 years later, in a somber South Carolina courtroom, Judge Carmen Mullen vacated George Stinney Jr.'s conviction. "In essence," she wrote, "not only was the death sentence imposed upon George Stinney Jr. inherently cruel and unusual, but so too was the purported confession." Tears fell in the courtroom. His family wept, not with joy but with release. But the ruling couldn't undo the horror. It couldn't return the years. It couldn't bring back the young boy who liked to draw, who smiled when he talked about animals, who never got to grow up. George's story is not just one of a wrongful conviction. It is a cautionary tale of how justice, unchecked, can be distorted by prejudice. A system that was meant to protect the innocent instead devoured a child whole. Today, George's photo, wide-eyed and innocent, stands as a symbol, reminder, plea, that justice delayed must still be justice delivered. That silence must always give way to truth. That even the smallest voice can echo for eternity. They killed an innocent child. George's sister once said, her voice thin with age but heavy with sorrow. But they could not kill the truth. And the truth, it never forgets.